Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. Oh, man. The Democrats are in big trouble. Their party is evaporating. And not only is the Democrat Party evaporating, it may have already evaporated. It's happening fast. The Democrats themselves are realizing it. There's a new poll out that CNN ran, which I'm going to play for you in a moment, that shows you the terminal condition of the Democrat Party today, which is a good thing, okay? Because the Democrat Party is fading away. There's not some up-and-coming party to replace them. The country is a MAGA nation, and this is the reality of the situation. And CNN, when CNN goes public with these polls, it's got to be so painful for them. I mean, the process with the staff before they go to air with these polls. Oh man, I'd love to be in those meetings. So anyway, let me play this, and then we'll talk about it. This is CNN today.
The results from that special election, that Democratic primary in the 11th district in New Jersey, speak to a larger point within the Democratic Party, and that is that the far left is significantly more powerful than they once were. This sort of gives the game away here. Democrats who identify as very liberal or conservative. You know, there used to be a lot of conservative Democrats, right? Back in 1999, 26% of Democrats self-identified as conservative. Just 5% said that they were very liberal. It was a smidgen. Now that far left has gained considerably in power. Look at this. Now we're talking about a fifth of Democrats. 21% say they're very liberal. That conservative part of the Democratic Party, adios amigos, goodbye.
Okay, now see this here, I want to stop at this first part because this is incredibly significant. Now, back in 99, I made reference to the conservative Democrats on the morning show today. They used to have this thing, they were called Blue Dog Democrats. Gary Condon was one. Remember Gary Condon? Oh, man. Okay, but they were called Blue Dog Democrats. They were conservative Democrats. And you see only 5%. This is in 1999, to the end of Clinton's presidency, second term. Only 5% of Democrats identified as very liberal. And now it's reversed. 21% of Democrats identify as very liberal, only 8% as conservative. And what's happened is, a couple things have happened here. The people that used to be the conservative Democrats are now MAGA, okay? And the activist wing of the Democrat Party have taken over the Democrat Party, and that's why they're going down the toilet. Listen.
Just 8%. And when you combine the 21% who are very liberal with those who say that they're somewhat liberal, we're talking about 3 in 5 Democrats who identify as either somewhat liberal or very liberal, with the very liberals a much larger portion of the party. The far left, which used to just be a smidgen within the Democratic Party, has gained considerable power, as you saw in New Jersey's 11th district.
What? Okay, so what this is showing us is these lunatics that are attacking ICE agents in Minneapolis. That's the mainstream average Democrat today. Isn't that something? Yeah.
What about Democratic socialists, like the likes of, you've got Bernie Sanders and or Zohran Mamdani here in New York City. Where does that line up?
Okay, so on a separate question where you essentially, CNN asked this last year, which was, okay, Democrats who think of themselves as democratic socialists, among all Democrats, including those independents who lean towards the Democratic Party. Look at this. We're talking about a third of all Democrats who identify as democratic socialists. Bernie Sanders and Zohran Mamdani are not alone. They are
Okay, so this is some of the best news, okay? A third of Democrats. Now, there aren't as many Democrats as there used to be, so it's a much smaller party than back in 99. A third of Democrats consider themselves to be democratic socialist. Bernie, Zohran Mamdani, AOC, and all these loons. And this is the Democratic Socialists are the reason that the Democrat Party is going down the toilet, okay, in large part. Because, the Democrats, they made a tragic error, okay, back in the 2015 primary when they allowed Bernie Sanders, who's not a Democrat, but a official Democratic Socialist, they allowed Bernie Sanders in the Democrat debate in the Democrat primaries for president. This is when Hillary was running for the nomination that she eventually won to lose against President Trump. And once they let Bernie Sanders officially in as a Democratic Socialist and then AOC, that was the end of the Democrat Party.
Considerable part of the Democratic base at this point. And more than, look at this, 42% of Democrats think of themselves as Democratic Socialists under the age of 35, just like Zohran Mamdani. That, what happened in New York City, is not some aberration, right? It is not something that just happened in New York City. It is something that we are seeing grow within the Democratic Party at this particular point when we're talking about 42% of Democrats under the age of 35 identifying as Democratic Socialists and a third of all Democrats. My goodness gracious.
So if the
Democratic base, right? But what about all Americans, right? How about all voters? Voters who say the Democrats are now too liberal. Look at this percentage. It was 42% in 96, 48% in 2013, now 58% in 2025 of all voters say that the Democratic Party is too liberal. The Democrats are moving to the left, the far left is gaining power, and there could be some electoral repercussions because what we see right now is voters, the clear majority, say that they are too liberal.
Yeah, and that is a Washington Post poll, which is a liberal newspaper with liberal-leaning polls. So the number is probably higher than 58%. That is amazing. See, the Democrat Party is gone, and it's a much smaller party than it used to be. And I know some people will say, "Well, this election, Mamdani's in New York, you can't count that." And these special elections have had very low voter turnout. That's why I keep telling you over and over again on every show. The breakdown of the state by states this morning. If you missed this morning's show, go back and watch it. But I showed the map. Kamala Harris only won in states where voter ID is not required to vote. She only and she didn't win a single state where ID is required. And now with the SAVE Act requiring state-issued photo ID to vote, the Democrats, between what I'm showing you here and the SAVE Act, they're in hysterics. That's why they were screaming at the top of their lungs at Pam Bondi yesterday in the hearing, because they know the party's over. And that's it. And the country is becoming more and more concerned. The big change, there's been you hear me talk about these inflection points. The beginning of the end of the Democrat Party as we know it was that point I told you when they allowed not only did they allow Bernie Sanders to participate in the Democrat presidential debate as a Democratic Socialist. And that may not sound like a big deal now, but it was then. And a lot of Democrats have said, no, he's not a Democrat. He's a Democrat Socialist. We can't. And they did it because they wanted those Democratic Socialists. And then they wined and dined him and kissed his butt and elevated Bernie Sanders to get his endorsement of Hillary Clinton. Remember that? Obama brought him to the White House. It was on television. It was all big deal. The Democrat Party sealed their own fate here by embracing and elevating Bernie Sanders. That was the first major move that now this is all, I'm glad they did this because the Democrats are out. But the big change in the country with this, the second big change is when they shot President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. And then they tried to do it again a few weeks later at the golf course. That woke people up and says, wow, these people, they're nuts. They tried to arrest him. They tried to put him in prison. Now they're trying to kill him. That was another big point. And then once the second term began and the work that Doge was doing, and then Nick Shirley's reporting on the Somali pirates in Minneapolis, and all these things that have been coming out have been exposing the corruption and where the Democrats are. These mobs of Democrats defending their precious illegal murderers and sex offenders and such, it's woken people up. And the Democrats have gone so far over the cliff, there's no recovery for them. And the Democrat Party, it's only a matter of time before they officially become the Democratic Socialist Party. Right now, I predicted this when AOC was first elected to Congress. First term, I told you this, and people laughed at me, and now it's happening. Okay, they're preparing to run AOC for president. Is she grown up now? Is she 35 yet? You got to be 35. But they're preparing her for that. So in the next couple election cycles, that's their plan. And it's only a matter maybe of just a couple of election cycles away before the Democrat Party officially becomes the Democrat Socialist Party. And I remember I showed this. This was when Mamdani, the final weeks of Mamdani's campaign for mayor in New York, I showed this town hall that he did with Bernie Sanders and the idol worship of the average Democrat voter at that Mamdani event for Bernie Sanders, I'd never seen anything like it. They worship Bernie Sanders. He's a god to them. And that's the future of the Democrat Party. And the American people, there's a lot of people back in those days when there were Democrats that were conservative, at the beginning of that poll, and the lunatic left were a fringe. Those Democrats have all been red-pilled. And on top of that, they've lost a lot of blacks, a lot of Hispanics, gays, and other women, young people, college students. See, the assassination of Charlie Kirk was done as an election tactic from the left and the Never-Trumpers to stop the magnetizing of America, and it had an opposite effect. And it's really amazing to see. I never would have thought that the party of Franklin Delano Roosevelt would fade away and not exist anymore. But we're living through that happening. And you know what? I'm excited about it. It couldn't happen to a worse group of people. I mean, the Democrats are scum. I mean, and look at this. They're fighting so hard against voter ID.
Okay, what's the racial breakdown on this, right? Because I think a lot of people make the argument that people of color, non-white Americans, have a harder time procuring a photo ID to vote. But even here, take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country.
Nope.
A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not just that. Look at this. 76% of black voters believe that state-issued photo ID should be required. 82% of Latinos. The Democrats have lost these groups that were in their camp. Just 10 or 15 years ago, those numbers were reversed for blacks when it came to photo ID. I've been listening to the desperation over on CNN, and they're saying that, people don't have their birth certificates. In today's day and age, you can get your birth certificate if you're in another state in 24 hours. Our MAGA cruises, we're doing the 10th one, right, next month. I hope to see some of you there. I know I will on the cruise. And when we did our first MAGA cruise, no, it was actually before the MAGA cruise. I had to get my passport years ago, and I didn't have my birth certificate, not the original one with the raised seal. And my mother couldn't find it. So I was born not in Florida, in another state. So this was, oh gosh. I got my passport for the first time, not the cruise, before about 20 years ago. I got my passport for the first time in my life. And I went online then, 20 years ago, and got my birth certificate in the same week with the raised seal so I could get my passport. And I got it like in 3 days. And that was back then. I imagine today, because the internet's advanced a lot, with online services in 20 years, you may be able to get it back the next day and from another state. So this idea that people don't have their birth certificates and women have changed their names, the way it works, because my wife has had to do this. We've been married a long time. And the last time my wife had to renew her license, we had to have her marriage certificate, so that she could have her married name on her driver's license when she renewed it, not her maiden name. And we could not find our marriage certificate, our marriage license. So what did we do? We went online, got it from the courthouse. They mail it to you. You get it like right away. It's no big deal. This is not the 1940s, okay? You can get your birth certificates and marriage licenses the same week if you want them. And you know what? There should be some hoops to have to vote. But we all know what the Democrats are doing here. They know, when they see this breakdown, that Kamala Harris only won states where voter ID is not required, and she didn't win a single state where ID is required. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out what the Democrats are so panicked about over the SAVE Act. The idea that you can go and vote without a voter ID is so So absurd. All right, if you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free no matter where you're listening, and it's pinned in the live stream. It's 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Okay, I appreciate it. The rest of you on hold, stand by. I want to share this. This is, I tell you, this is the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Bobby Kennedy, and he's talking about his past.
And I said, I'm not scared of a germ. I used to snort cocaine off of toilet seats.
Oh, my goodness.
And I know this disease will kill me.
Right.
Like if I don't.
Okay, he was on with Theo Vaughn. I don't know about this drug addict past. Why would you snort cocaine off a toilet seat? I'm assuming it was probably a public toilet seat too. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just use the sink counter? I don't know. I don't know if Theo Vaughn followed up Bobby Kennedy with that question. I would like to have known the answer. I mean, my goodness. Oh, boy. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, there's a whole bunch more to talk about. I'm Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. We'll be right back.
For the first time ever, we're bringing you My Pillow mattress for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our My Pillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our My Pillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
Hi, it's Dr. Philip Appleton. You've been hearing my commercials about bye-bye pain, my laser weight treatment, but today's commercial and today's spot is going to be on Tom Laporta, Laporta Roofing. What an experience I've had with him and his company. They've done a few of my friends' houses and my son and my house, and there's never a downtime. They're old school, which means you call them up, they'll be there. How many times have you called somebody up and they never show up, or they give you an excuse, weather, traffic, whatever? Tom Laporta, what a class act. The workmanship, the magnificent teamwork they have. I recommend them 100%.
Thanks, Dr. Appleton. Now do what Dr. Appleton did. Pick up your phone and call Tom Laporta from Laporta Roofing on your cell phone. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. On the line, we have Bruce. Bruce is a client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. He heard me talking with Joe Thomas about annuities and what a great deal they are, and he went in with his wife, and now he's a client. Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Brian.
So tell me about your experience with Jupiter Joe Thomas.
A fine gentleman. We sat down with Joe, and we explained everything to him, and we brought all our information, and he worked everything out great.
The cool thing about annuities is your money's never at risk. You're guaranteed a revenue stream for the rest of your life, but there's a bonus, really a signing bonus, where you can make a boatload of money before you even leave Joe Thomas's office. Can you talk a little bit about that, Bruce?
Well, that's where I was surprised when we sat down. We talked about the bonuses, and to my amazement, it was 10%, and there was even another one that's bigger.
Wow, that's amazing. So you made 10% on your money before you even got back in your car.
Yeah, it was more than that, but it was great.
Listen, guys, do what Bruce did. Give Jupiter Joe Thomas a call. You can set up a free consultation either on the phone or in the office, and Joe Thomas will put together a custom proposal just for you. His number is 561-743-0999. 743-0999 and online at jupiterjoe.com. All right, Bruce, thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Brian Craig Show, where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for tuning in. If you're on hold, stand by. Okay, so we were talking about that poll from CNN about the Democrats going so far to the left. A lot of it has to do with what's been going on in Minneapolis. This is Tom Homan from today.
With that, and success that has been made arresting public safety threats and other priorities since this surge operation began, as well as the unprecedented levels of coordination we have obtained from state officials and local law enforcement, I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude. A significant drawdown has already been underway this week and will continue through the next week. We have a lot of work to do across this country to remove public safety risk who shouldn't even be in this country, and to deliver on President Trump's promise for strong border security and mass deportation. Law enforcement officers drawn down from this surge operation will either return to their duty stations or be assigned elsewhere to achieve just that.
Okay, so the surge in Minneapolis is ending. They're gonna have a couple more weeks of it, and it's gonna end. And I was watching some of the talk today on social media, okay, and people saying, "Oh, Trump's retreating. Tom Homan, they're on the." No, what happened? There's something has happened. We don't know exactly. We know what happened. But we don't know what was said. Okay, remember President Trump had a phone conversation with Tim Walz. And he had a conversation with that Mayor Fry. Then, this was 2 weeks ago, right? Then he sent Tom Homan, to Minneapolis. And Tom Homan had a one-on-one private meeting with Mayor Fry and a one-on-one private meeting with Tim Walz. When's the last time you've seen a press conference with those two idiots, Walz and Fry? They were doing press conferences multi-times a day some days, at least once a day, even on the weekends. President Trump and Tom Homan put the fear of God inside Mayor Fry and Tim Walz over something. It could have been the Somali pirate scams that they're up to their eyeballs in. Something. And they're cooperating. They're turning people over to ICE now. They have law enforcement doing their job and turning them over to Border Patrol. So they don't need this overwhelming operation in Minnesota any longer, Minneapolis in particular, because Mayor Fry and Tim Walz are cooperating. And what they did to cooperate, who knows what they told them. I mean, we assume it's because of the Nick Shirley Leering Centers. And that is what did it. And you know what? It's very possible that it is what did it. So that's what's happened. And you can take that to the bank. Right? I mean, these two guys, Fry was worse than Walz because he was new to the scene. These guys couldn't stay off of television in their arrogance, and no more press conferences. So that's why this is not a retreat. They've been able to not have as many people there with ICE and Border Patrol because local and state law enforcement are now cooperating. The reason we had such overwhelming force there from Border Patrol and ICE is because they had no backup or cooperation from the state or city. And now that's changed. So it's over. I mean, this is all great stuff. And these protesters, the deportations have not stopped. They're continuing, and they're probably continuing in larger numbers than before because you don't have the distractions. And you're not seeing these endless videos of these liberal loons that are out there that are causing trouble and starting fights with ICE officers and everything, right? So what President Trump did was whatever he told him and whatever Tom Homan did was masterful. One day we'll get the story. Either President Trump will tell us or Tom Homan will tell us. And we may not know about this for years, but at some point we're going to find out exactly what had happened. Got to do another wellness check here on Candace Owens. I mean, Candace Owens, every time she does one of these jump the shark moments, you think, okay, she's gone so far now. That's it. But now she's gone somewhere even further than it's in the depths of just lunacy to a level I didn't even think was possible. No matter how low Candace Owens goes, she always seems to go deeper down the hole of self-destruction. And she was talking earlier this week that Erica Kirk should be in jail over suspicions of the Charlie Kirk assassination. It's hard to say, and I'll throw this out to you. If you're on hold, stand by. I might go back to the phones, but I got a lot to cover here. What do you think is the answer cannot be both. If you got to pick one, it doesn't mean both aren't true, but one is more important than the other. What is the jealousy that she has here? I've always thought she was Charlie Kirk's girlfriend back in the days when they were at Turning Point together before he was with Erica. So is it that she's jealous that she wasn't Charlie's wife and getting all the sympathy now? Or is she just jealous that she's not on the Turning Point stage as the face of Turning Point USA now? I know it's a mix of both, but which do you think is the biggest? I personally think that she wants to have the world's sympathy on her. She is a narcissist times infinity. She's probably the biggest narcissist alive on the planet Earth today. And she's such a narcissist, people feeling sorry for her for losing her husband in an assassination is like a fantasy. Erica Kirk is living her fantasy life right now. Isn't that sick? And she came out with this new thing. Did you see this thing about waking up in the middle of the night? Listen to this. This is Charlie and Erica's child. Listen to this.
I just would like to ask why. She then says that Charlie woke up for a snack at 2:45 in the morning. And apparently he was so loud, the apartment's small, and maybe it was his excitement. He's like, yeah, you, yeah, I'm so excited. Who knows? Okay, we're not clear on that. But the implication is that's what woke up her 3-year-old daughter at 2:45 in the morning. That's not when toddlers at the age of 3 wake up, okay? These are sleep-trained toddlers. Okay?
Sleep-trained toddlers? There's no sleep training with toddlers, okay? I mean, maybe she's doing some type of sleep training with her children. She homeschools her kids? That's pretty frightening that Candace Owens is a homeschool mom. And she sleep trains them. All kinds of things wake toddlers up. I remember once when my daughter was a toddler, a motorcycle went by our house. My wife will tell you. It's like, and it revved itself up. She was a toddler. It scared the daylights out of her in the middle of the night, and it took her months before she'd sleep through the night for that. There's no such thing, and I know there's other parents out there. I've never heard of a sleep-trained toddler before. Have you? Very bizarre.
Okay, we're not clear on that, but the implication is that's what woke up her 3-year-old daughter at 2:45 in the morning. That's not when toddlers at the age of 3 wake up, okay? These are sleep-trained toddlers, okay? Gigi wakes up at 2:45, 3-year-old kid who should be in the REM stage of sleep. Toddlers knock out. Maybe Gigi is a light sleeper. It's also just curious that they're all awake. It's 2:45 a.m. in the morning. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe somebody had to pee, Candace, okay, in the middle of the night. That happens.
But the resolution, she's clear on. The resolution to this sort of pre-dawn fracas is that Gigi is going to sleep in Charlie's bed, and because she wanted him to be amazing. I'm starting to get a feeling that there might have been another reason that the daughter woke up, but stick with me.
This is
maybe there's noise, not from excitement, but maybe an argument. Maybe there was an argument. That would make more sense to me, especially when we add in how she concludes that portion by telling us that Charlie took off his wedding ring during that same night, which is why he, of course, then had to put it back on the next morning. And Erica says that
this is so. Men take their wedding rings off. A lot at night. You know why? Why do you think men don't wear their wedding rings around the house and at home and at night? Why do you think? Those of you that don't know. You know why? You don't want it to go down the sink. You wash your hands, you take a shower, your ring could come off. And you don't want it to go down the sink. She's reading things and hallucinating things that are just insane.
We snuck in the next morning to put that wedding band on. I immediately clocked that. Even when that interview was live, I said, that's weird, just because I know Charlie, but I couldn't explain that to the audience. I know Charlie. Charlie's the kind of person who could sleep with his boots on. Like this little ring. I don't know virtually any men. Truly, I don't know any. But obviously, I'm assuming there are. Maybe you've got a funky little band and maybe your hands swollen with summer. I don't know, that like meticulously take that little band off. Charlie doesn't strike me as the type of person who would do that. I said,
okay, over the years, there have been celebrities that have had episodes of insanity, okay? But they're very brief and usually connected with drug issues, but they're very brief, a moment in time, a night, a day, a weekend. Candace Owens has, Charlie, we've got September, October, November, December, January, now we're in February. We've had 5 months of a complete break from reality from Candace Owens. And she sees things that just are insane, that make no sense to anyone. Of course, to her, everything makes perfect sense. And you got to wonder what's going on in her mind. This is the most obsessed woman I have ever seen. And person too. I mean, just, it could be I've never seen an individual, male or female, this obsessed. I still think it's jealousy. The reason she's not jealous of Erica Kirk because was in love with Charlie. She's jealous of Erica Kirk because she wants the world feeling sorry for her, and she wants to be the grieving widow on stage at Turning Point as Charlie's widow, as the front person for Turning Point USA. That's what she wants. And she feels it's owed to her because she feels she's a founder of Turning Point USA, which she did have a lot to do with the early rise of it. But her husband, he's got to be a nutbag too. There's no way that a spouse would let their spouse be that unhinged, talking to so many millions of people every day. No, there's just no way, unless they're a nutbag too. And, a lot of times, when you meet married couples and they're weird, and if you know any weird people and their spouse is just like them, they don't even know they're weird, okay? I've seen that a lot in my life. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
What, hello?
Yeah, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Michael from Texas.
Hey, Michael.
Hi. Quick question. I just need to know: is this like a circle jerk type of call thing, or
why would you use such a vile sexual term? What are you, some kind of pervert or something? Why would you talk that way?
No, it's a pretty colloquial term now, just to...
No, well, among perverts and weirdos that use perverted language. You've been watching, you've been listening. What's on your mind?
I don't understand where this is coming from. Just...
All right, take care. Oh, my goodness. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air? Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. All right, I'm going to take our break. When we get back, I got more to share. The rest of you on hold, hang in there. My name's Brian. We'll be back right after this.
Need a Valentine's gift? Well, flowers die, chocolate melts. A movie poster from justmovieposters.com is forever, or close enough. Most items are between $7 to $15. Shipping extra. Go to justmovieposters.com to find that special movie poster today. justmovieposters.com. What if we've been asking the wrong questions about aliens all along? When people talk about non-human intelligence, they look to the skies, to UAPs, to massive craft and towering beings. But what if some of them have been here the entire time, much smaller and hiding in plain sight? In When the Fae Came, available online at Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, and Amazon, author Martin Thomas explores a provocative idea that the beings we've called fairies, elves, dwarfs, and goblins may not be myth at all, but advanced non-human intelligences. Drawing from global sightings and early research, When the Fae Came connects underground and underwater colonies across places like Mexico, Canada, Malaysia, and Europe. Beings capable of invisibility, flight, and telepathic communication. This isn't fantasy, it's an investigation into how ancient stories may be misunderstood encounters with something real. If you're curious about where folklore ends and non-human intelligence begins, When the Fae Came asks questions most researchers avoid. Order your copy of When the Fae Came from author Martin Thomas online at Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, and Amazon.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You know, this political correctness and DEI being applied to the entertainment industry has gotten so absurd. Listen to this. I'm not going to do any setup because it'll ruin the punchline. But this is a pretty famous European actor. He's in a lot of stuff, you know, and he's doing this press circuit for a movie. And he takes a question. Listen.
This is a cast.
Now you got to listen to the whole thing, okay? It's not that long.
This is a cast and a Danish production, which is entirely Nordic. It therefore has some lack of diversity, you would say, as also new rules are implied in Hollywood.
Are you on to?
Sorry, but
from the get-go.
From the get-go, there is some. Okay.
Well, first of all, the film takes place in Denmark in the 1750s.
The film takes place in Denmark in the 1750s, and this media guy, this reporter, is wondering why there aren't gays, transgendered, and black people in it. It's Denmark in the 1750s, okay? There were no transgenders, probably no blacks in Denmark. And gays, well, they were in the closet. But there's no diversity. It's a historical film. Oh, my goodness. You're on the air.
I am?
Yes. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Am I on the air?
You are.
Sorry. Okay. This is Paula calling from New Jersey.
Hey, Paula.
And yeah, I just want to ask you, like, do you really think going after Candace Owens is a smart move?
What do you mean about going after Candace Owens, and what do you mean by, is it a smart move? I don't understand.
She's really loved by people, and Erica really is not looking very good these days.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
She's loved by people. Well, everybody's loved by people, no matter who they are.
Yeah, but
right?
she's really.
Why don't you just tell the
by
truth
people.
that you are in love with her, that you love what she says?
Yes,
and you probably.
I absolutely.
Yeah. What do you probably think that you probably think the Zionists are after her and all that stuff, right?
I think that she's asking very good questions.
Give me an example. Give me an example of her very good questions.
Okay. Let's see. How about where was Erica on the days before Charlie was murdered? She's given alibis that have proven false. She's given many false statements.
So this is interesting. You think, oh boy, maybe mental disease is contagious through watching people online. You think that Erica Kirk was involved in the assassination of Charlie?
I have no idea.
Well, what did you just say? You want her to alibi out?
I want her to answer some questions.
Why? She's a grieving widow. Awesome. You know, listen.
I don't.
Erica Kirk is in a situation now. Excuse me. Erica Kirk is in a situation now, very much like Jackie Kennedy after JFK was killed. Okay, both.
That's a bad example.
It's not a bad example that I haven't finished giving. Yeah. So let me finish and then disagree with it. It'll sound like meaningful disagreement. When both JFK and Charlie Kirk were killed in very violent, graphic ways in front of the world. Charlie's more than the president's because of the video quality that was available. They're both young mothers with young children to worry about. And you know, we know who killed Charlie Kirk. I do believe there was a conspiracy. I believe the Never-Trumpers killed Charlie. Same people that shot the president and Butler killed Charlie. But to suggest that Erica Kirk had some role in it is insanity. And you should be ashamed of yourself for even entertaining such a sick thought.
Well, I think that she is not representing herself very well as a Greek widow. Jackie Kennedy disappeared. She took her children and hid them away and took care of them.
It was a different time.
Where's Erica?
It was a different time.
Where's Erica?
Well, Erica, couple things. Okay, you ask a good question. Couple things, okay? One, this is a different time because people are more out there with media and social media. But what Erica Kirk is trying to do, that Jackie didn't have to do, is she's trying to keep Charlie's legacy alive by keeping Turning Point USA afloat. And she's involved in it, excuse me, and that's a business, and she's involved in it. Jackie Kennedy went off to Greece and married that a man as disgusting gets, Onassis, okay, and left the country.
Yes, and she took care of her children.
And so does Erica Kirk.
Charlie would not have wanted his wife to take. Would not have wanted his wife to take.
I'm okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize who I was talking to. So what are you? You a family member of Charlie Kirk's? You knew Charlie personally?
I've heard Charlie Kirk say many times.
What did you hear? What did you hear? What did you hear him say?
I've heard him say that a wife with children, young children, should be at home with his children. And Erica has said the same thing, that she agreed with that.
Well,
idea.
that's when the husband is around. Her husband was murdered, assassinated.
Are you kidding me? So now instead of losing one parent, she's lost two. They've lost two children.
Wow.
Charlie Kirk was
now
okay,
and you said something to me at the beginning of this perverted call of yours that you asked me. You said, "Is it a good idea to be going after Candace Owens?" What does that mean?
It means you're being very foolish, Brian.
I'm being foolish.
People love Candace.
Yeah,
yes,
crazy
people love Candace Owens.
Crazy people love Candace Owens. Anti-Semites love Candace Owens.
The salt of the earth. Mm-hmm. The salt of the earth love Candace.
Do you think the Jews are after her? She talks a lot about that. The Zionist.
Do I think the Jews are after who?
Candace Owens talks a lot about how the Zionists are conspiring against her a lot.
Well, Charlie talked a lot about it too before he was killed, that he was being pressured by Israel.
I didn't ask you about Charlie. I asked you about Candace. Do you agree with Candace Owens that the Jews are after her?
I think that there's pressure for everybody to talk the way Israel wants them to talk.
And how is that?
I don't know. You'd have to.
You said that there's a way that Israel wants people to talk, and they pressure people. So what is the way that they want us to talk?
And that's what Charlie said.
That's what Charlie said. Yes.
Yes, that is what he said, and Megyn Kelly backed him up.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to move on, but welcome to the program. Okay, call me again sometime, and please go seek out some professional help. My goodness, there are a lot of crazies out there. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello. How you doing, Brian? How you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, this is Maria from Tamarack.
Yeah, Maria.
I was calling you because I was just listening to this crazy lady that you were speaking to, and I think she's out of her mind to insist that that Erica Kirk had anything to do with her husband.
Crazy.
Murder.
Insanity.
Exactly. She is a widow, trying to raise two little babies, not children, two little babies.
And at the same time, she's doing everything she can do to try to keep Turning Point USA together, so that Charlie Kirk died for Turning Point, and she doesn't want to see that fade away. They killed Charlie Kirk to try to destroy Turning Point USA. That was the purpose of assassinating him. That's why they did it.
Yeah, because they knew how powerful the man was, and he was also helping President Trump multiple times get the young vote. And it's going to be difficult. We still got a chance to get him, but it's going to be difficult. And no Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk had no other choice but to step in the fray. It's what her husband talked about.
That's right.
Talked about it many times.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, did I lose you? No, hold on. All right, Maria, you still with me?
Yeah, I'm
okay, I thought I
the
lost
phone
you.
had cut off.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Erica Kirk has so much to worry about, right? She's worried about her kids. She's worried about herself and their safety. She's trying to keep Turning Point alive because that's why they killed Charlie Kirk, to try to end Turning Point. And then she has Candace Owens talking to millions of people every week, brainwashing people like that lady I was just talking to, which makes it worse.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Erica Kirk does it. I don't know how she does it.
Me either. That's one difficult job that I don't even think I could have done. I would have been like, no, I can't do that.
And I got to tell you, think about it. Candace Owens is famous and all, I get that. But some old girlfriend, because she has, she's famous, is out there causing the widow of her ex-boyfriend all this trouble. That is so sick and twisted, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very sick. And I liked her at first, but when Charlie Kirk died and all this stuff she's doing, I was like, girl, you got some nerve to even go to this extreme to lie on his wife.
It's indecent what she's doing. It's indecent.
It's indecent, disgusting. It makes me outrageous as me being a mother and a wife to my husband for 40 years. There is nowhere in the world I will let anyone disrespect me or my family that way. And Erica Kirk, she's different from me because, boy, I will go right on her podcast and say, hey, girl, shut your mouth. You don't know me.
That lady I was talking to, she wants Erica Kirk to give her alibi about where she was when Charlie was assassinated.
She doesn't have to do that. Her alibi was she was home with her children. That's her alibi. She was home with her children. She don't have to answer to people like that doing foolishness.
Yeah.
That made me mad because I always try to tune in. I'm just getting off work. I always try to tune in. I'm like, you know what? Let me tune into Brian Craig's show. let me see what's going on here.
A lot of people don't know this. The day that after President Kennedy was assassinated, I can't remember if it was the day of President Kennedy's funeral or the day before, but I want to say the day of. It was JFK Jr. was a toddler at the time. Do you know that Jackie Kennedy had a birthday party for John F. Kennedy Jr. at the White House after the assassination?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, he's a little kid. She had a little baby there. He was a little toddler. It was his birthday. He didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
When a mother, when you're a mother of a very famous person that's assassinated in front of the world, it's not a normal situation. For a young mother to have her husband murdered in these assassination ways is not normal. It's not, but any young mother that loses their husband and father of young children, it's a very difficult time, and they try to shield their children. But in Erica Kirk's spot, she's also trying to save her husband's business and legacy, Turning Point USA. And it used to be a woman doing something like that is pretty commendable.
Yeah. I mean, she's very encouraged. I mean, and she's very lifted. I think because of her spiritual life that keeps her moving. I mean, it is tough for any woman to go through that, and then I could have to turn around and listen to people like Candace Owens. I'm sorry, you out of your league, girl. You need to leave this lady alone.
Yeah, she never will.
Leave her alone.
She never will. She goes from one obsession. It was first the Jews, then it was Macron's wife, and now it's this. She goes from one obsession to the next. All right, I appreciate the call, Maria.
Yeah.
All right, take care. Yeah, I know. Sick. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi. So I won't say the bad word again, but
it's one call per show, but you're new, so I'll let you try again. All right. What's on your mind?
Okay. I just have just a few things. So how did Dems worship Bernie Sanders? That's one of that was hilarious to me.
Well, when I say worship, I don't mean there's actually a temple and they get up and say, "Oh, Bernie Sanders, oh, Bernie Sanders." I don't mean like Jesus, okay? That's a little bit of sarcasm I was using. Are you Gen Z or millennial?
Millennial.
There you go. Millennials don't get sarcasm. Right?
The
You take
generation
everything.
that grew up with South Park, Family Guy, Futurama doesn't understand sarcasm.
No, obviously you don't. Millennials take everything literally. I saw it, but I'll tell you what I'm talking about.
I didn't take anything literally, though. I just asked you a question about what you meant. I didn't take anything literally.
Well, I saw a town hall meeting that Mamdani had shortly before the election. And I shared this on the podcast here. You guys can go back and find it. I don't remember which episode it was. But it was in New York City, and it was inside a theater, and Bernie Sanders, who's a fake socialist. You know how many houses Bernie Sanders has?
I'm not a socialist. I don't really
Democrat,
care.
he has 5, okay? So he's a fraud, okay? He's a fraud. He's not a socialist. He's a profiteer. He's a capitalist pretending to be. He just makes millions of dollars saying that he's a socialist. But he was on stage with Mamdani, and I saw the crowd and the way they were interacting with Bernie Sanders, and they're just in awe over this guy. It's like idol worship. And I was shocked. The guy eats with his mouth open, right? He spits when he talks, and he's a phony baloney with all of his millions of dollars.
Regardless of the socialism thing, you said you saw them in awe. I mean, is that not the same exact thing as Trump and everything he does? Don't you have a Trump 2028 hat? Like, are you not doing the same thing? How is that valid criticism?
No. See, President Trump and Bernie Sanders are very different. Very different.
Well, yeah, one's an honorable man, one's a despicable man, yeah.
I agree with you. President Trump is an honorable man, and Bernie Sanders is despicable. Yeah,
Is it honorable to cheat on your wife that just had a child with a porn star?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Interesting.
Tell me what you're talking. Tell me the story. Who and what? Give me the names. Tell me about it.
Stormy Daniels, the ones that was in the news.
Stormy Daniels signed a statement that she never had sex with Donald Trump.
Interesting. Can you back
It is
that up?
interesting. Yeah, look it up online. I'm not here with a file to prove to you everything. Keep up.
But you want me to have a file to prove to you everything.
No. I'm the one with the show that I've been doing for over 30 years. So, I've got credibility with that. It's well known. Stormy Daniels signed a statement that she never had sex with President Trump.
Well, okay. That's regardless of the fact. I don't know why we're on Stormy Daniels.
Because you brought it up. You brought it up. I didn't bring up Stormy Daniels.
You asked me for an example to something that was completely unrelated.
And I showed you your example is not true.
You didn't show me anything. You stated.
What do you think? I have a filing cabinet with evidence for any caller that brings up random things?
But
see, I have some. You know what I have that you don't. I have something that you don't. Credibility. All right, appreciate the call. Jeez, people, keep up. Yeah. I saw this story today. This is nuts. Okay, look at this. Illinois City issues $25,000 in cash to black residents for reparations. So Illinois is giving reparations to black people, $25,000. What's the problem with that? What do you guys think? I'm not going to troll for calls or keep you in suspense. I'm just going to tell you. Illinois, they're paying $25,000 to black people for reparations in this town. What's the fallacy in that? And there's, which is insane. How, just because they're black, how do you know they're descendants of slaves? And even if they are they deserving? Illinois, in the Civil War, which side of the Civil War was Illinois on? The Union. It was Republican state of Illinois. Illinois is the land of Lincoln, right? Illinois is the land of Lincoln. They were in the Republican side, not the Democrat side in the Confederacy. Illinois was a free state. Illinois is a free state. And if you know the story of Abraham Lincoln took a trip down the Mississippi multiple times down south on the Mississippi from Illinois to New Orleans. And that's when he first saw slaves. It's part of Abraham Lincoln's story. Illinois was a free state. And a lot of great men from Illinois gave their lives to free the slaves, including our 16th president, the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln. And the very idea that anyone's owed reparations in general is just absurd, but certainly not in a free state. It's like in California, they were talking about it. A couple years ago. This is insane. The total stupidity. My name's Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. By the way, the Brian Craig Show podcast is available wherever you get podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, just search for the Brian Craig Show, and I'll come up. If you want to catch the show live, where you hear me taking calls, that's on YouTube. Just search for the Brian Craig Show on YouTube. And if you'd like to support my program, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description of this and every episode. And if you become a Patreon supporter, not only are you supporting all of my content on all of my platforms, you get access to exclusive things like exclusive live streams just for Patreon supporters. In fact, I had a Patreon live stream right before today's podcast just for Patreon supporters. You also get access to commercial-free editions of all my podcasts. And if you're a top Patreon supporter, you get your name up on the screen, and you get a live on-air thank you shout-out. The names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this episode on whatever platform you're listening on. I want to thank SF Jr., Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, Lizep, Shauna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, Teresa, Irene, Doris, and Rick. Thank you all. Those are my top Patreon supporters. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. I am Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I will talk to you next time. Take care.